You know that feeling when you're, say, at a dinner party, or maybe you're just recounting a story to a colleague, and in your head, the story is incredible.
Mm,
It's vivid, it's dramatic, it's hilarious. You can literally see the movie playing behind your eyes.
right.
But then you open your mouth to describe it, and what comes out just feels, well, beige.
Beige is the perfect word for it. It's functional, but it's just flat. It completely lacks texture.
Exactly. It's flat. You want to say, I was absolutely destroyed by that workout, but what comes out is, I was very tired.
Oh, yeah.
You want to say, that steak was divine, but you just say, it was very good.
Right.
It's like watching a 4K movie on an old black and white TV. You know the quality is there inside you, but the signal is getting degraded on the way out.
That disconnect is exactly what we're digging into today.
Okay.
It's that gap between your actual personality, which is nuanced and, interesting, and your linguistic personality, which can feel a bit limited.
Yeah.
We're looking at a guide called Stop Saying Very, Use Better English Words. But honestly, this is about way more than just a vocabulary list.
Right.
It's about closing that gap we just talked about.
Because the source material makes a pretty bold claim right off the bat. It suggests that relying on the word very, and we all do it, isn't just a stylistic choice.
No, it's not.
It argues that it's actually a barrier to fluency. It keeps you stuck in what they call translation mode.
It does. And for you listening in, whether you're learning English as a second language or you're a native speaker, just trying to be a more punchy, persuasive communicator, the mission today is simple.
Okay, what is it?
We're going to look at why we use very as a crutch. We're going to swap out 5 specific beige phrases for what the source calls power words. And this is the part I find most interesting. We're going to talk about the neuroscience of how to actually get those words to stick so they come out automatically under pressure.
So we are doing grammar drills today because I have some trauma from high school French class I'm not quite ready to revisit.
No grammar drills. This is strategy. This is about psychology as much as it is about linguistics.
Okay, good. Let's start with the villain of the story then. The word very. I want to play devil's advocate here for a second because I feel like we're being a little hard on it. Is very actually wrong?
No.
If I say, I am very happy, technically that's correct English. My teacher wouldn't mark it with a red pen.
You are absolutely right. It is 100% grammatically correct.
Okay.
And that is exactly why it's such a dangerous trap.
How so?
If you made a blatant grammar mistake, someone would correct you, or, you'd see a confused look on their face.
Oh.
But no one corrects very happy. It's safe.
Right?
The source points out that very is an intensifier, but it's a weak one. It acts like a mathematical plus sign. You take a basic concept like hot, and you just say +1.
It's lazy. It's linguistic laziness.
Well, I'd call it cognitive efficiency. Think about it. When you're speaking, especially if it's a second language or you're nervous, your brain is under a heavy cognitive load.
Right. You're juggling like a dozen balls at once.
Exactly. So your brain looks for shortcuts. It's easier to access the common high-frequency word happy and just slap a generic very in front of it than it is to dig deep into your archives and find a specific nuanced word like thrilled or ecstatic or overjoyed.
So using very is basically our brain taking the path of least resistance.
Precisely.
It's just trying to save energy.
It's a survival mechanism for communication. But the cost is impact. The source makes this great distinction. Very creates a sketch. Strong words create a high-definition photo.
Ooh, I like that.
Native speakers or high-level communicators, they don't usually try to stretch a weak word. They choose a word that contains the intensity inside it.
The intensity is baked in. You don't need to add the seasoning later.
Right, the flavor is already in the ingredient.
Yeah.
So the source gives us a shortcut. Instead of trying to memorize the whole dictionary, which is, impossible and overwhelming, just focus on these high-frequency swaps. It promises that using these specific replacements makes you sound instantly more advanced.
I'm all about high leverage moves. Minimum effort, maximum result. Let's get into the specifics.
Okay.
The guide highlights 5 upgrades. I want to walk through these, but I also want to push back on them a bit to see when we should actually use them.
Sure.
Because sometimes very might actually be the right choice.
Sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
But usually the upgrade is better. Let's test them.
All right. Upgrade number 1. The scenario is the end of a long workday.
Okay.
You've had meetings, you've dealt with IT issues, the commute was terrible. The baseline phrase is, I'm very tired. The upgrade.
Exhausted.
Exhausted. Now, is this just about being sleepy? Because I can be sleepy after a big lunch, but I wouldn't say I'm exhausted.
No, and that's the nuance. Very tired is a general state. It might mean you need a nap. Exhausted is systemic. It implies a total depletion of resources, mental, physical, emotional. The source gives the context. After work, I was exhausted.
Right.
It paints a picture of someone who has nothing left in the tank.
See, that's interesting because I feel like if I say I'm very tired to my partner when I get home, they might hear, okay, I'm tired, but I can still chat.
Right.
If I say I'm exhausted, that's a signal. That means, please do not ask me to make a decision about dinner. Leave me alone.
Exactly. It sets a boundary. Words have functional utility beyond just description. And phonetically, just listen to the word. Exhausted. A long, drawn-out word with that heavy exhale. It sounds like the feeling it describes.
It sounds like a sigh. Okay, number 2. This is one of my favorites because I am guilty of the hyperbole here constantly. The baseline is very hungry. The upgrade is starving.
I'm starving.
Now, obviously, we have to be careful here. We aren't literally starving. We are privileged people waiting for a sandwich.
Of course.
Is this appropriate for professional settings, or does it sound, I don't know, dramatic?
In English-speaking cultures, it is absolutely appropriate. The source highlights that native speakers use hyperbole exaggeration as a bonding tool.
Oh, that's interesting.
If we're entering a lunch meeting and it's 1 p.m. and I say, shall we order? I'm starving. That's not seen as unprofessional. It's seen as human.
It adds a bit of vulnerability. Very hungry. It sounds so clinical.
Yeah.
It sounds like a medical chart. Starving sounds urgent.
It invites empathy. It says, I have a strong need right now. It elevates the stakes of the lunch decision.
Right.
If you say you're very hungry, I might suggest we finish the report first. If you say you're starving, I know we need to go now.
It drives action. Okay, let's flip the mood. We're moving from very happy to what?
Thrilled.
Thrilled. Now, this one feels a bit specific to me. Can I use this for anything? Like, if I get a sandwich I really like, can I say I'm thrilled with this sandwich?
You could, but you're going to sound a bit sarcastic or maybe a bit eccentric.
Thrilled implies vibrance and electricity. The source uses the example, I was thrilled to see my friend. It suggests an active reaction. Happy is a state of being. Thrilled is an event.
So if my boss gives me a raise, I'm thrilled.
Yes, that's an event.
If I find $1 on the street, I'm probably just happy.
Exactly. If you say you're thrilled about finding $1, people might think you have a very low bar for excitement.
Right.
Context matters. The point the source makes is that most learners stay in the happy zone for everything. They win the lottery, happy. They get married, happy. They have baby, happy.
Yeah.
Thrilled unlocks that upper tier of emotion.
It allows you to show range.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just seem emotionally flat. Okay, next one. We're talking environment. It's winter. The wind is biting. Instead of very cold, we say.
Freezing.
It's freezing out there.
This is another sensory word. Very cold is a temperature reading. Freezing evokes ice, shivering, stiff fingers, seeing your breath in the air.
Right.
It communicates the experience of the cold, not just the fact of it. And again, just to clarify for the literal thinkers out there, we don't need to be literally at 0 degrees Celsius to use it.
Not at all, no. If you are uncomfortable, it's freezing. It's subjective. It describes your reaction to the weather.
I use that one all the time. Turn up the heat, it's freezing in here. It's probably 68 degrees, but to me it's freezing.
And that communicates your discomfort perfectly.
Last one, we are talking about size. Very big.
The upgrade is huge.
Huge. This one seems simple, almost too simple, but I hear learners use very big constantly. New York is a very big city. That is a very big dog.
It sounds childlike, doesn't it? Look at the very big truck.
It does.
It sounds like something from a Dick and Jane book.
It lacks authority.
Whereas huge sounds definitive. That project is huge. The risk is huge. It sounds adult and confident. And purely from a mouthfeel perspective, and this is something we often overlook in language learning, huge allows you to emphasize the word easily.
What do you mean by mouthfeel?
I mean, the mechanics of saying it.
Yeah.
You can't really punch the word very without sounding aggressive. It is very big. It just sounds weird.
Yeah, it does.
But you can say, that is huge E, and it sounds powerful. You can stretch the vowel. It takes up space in the room, just like the object it describes.
So we've got exhausted, starving, thrilled, freezing, and huge. 5 words. It seems deceptively simple. I feel like listeners might be thinking, okay, I know these words. What's the big deal?
And knowing them is the easy part. Accessing them is the hard part.
Right.
And this is where the source shifts gears from vocabulary to methodology, because knowing these words is useless if they don't show up when you're actually speaking.
This is the classic tip of the tongue problem. I can read the word exhausted and understand it perfectly, but when I'm talking, my brain defaults to the old, reliable, very tired.
Yes.
Why is that gap so hard to bridge?
This is the difference between passive vocabulary and active vocabulary. Passive is what you understand. Active is what you use. Most people have a passive vocabulary that is, 10 times larger than their active one?
Wow.
The source has a specific rule to fix this, to move words from one bucket to the other. It says, speak these aloud.
Okay, be honest with me. Does that actually work? Or is it just something teachers tell you to do because they want to hear you talk?
No.
Because I feel a little silly walking around my apartment talking to myself.
It absolutely works, and there is real cognitive science here. It's called the production effect.
The production effect.
Yes. Research shows that if you read a word silently, your brain creates one memory trace, a visual trace. But if you speak it aloud, you are engaging the motor cortex to move your mouth and the auditory cortex to hear the sound. You are literally building a stronger, multisensory highway to that word in your brain.
So by saying it, I'm proving to my brain that this is a word I use.
Exactly. You're moving it from the library of your mind, where you just store things, to the workbench, where you actually use tools. If you said very tired for 10 years, that neural pathway is a superhighway. Exhausted is a dirt path covered in weeds.
Right.
The only way to pave the dirt path is to travel down it physically with your voice.
That makes a lot of sense. You have to clear the brush. The source actually provides a mini script to practice this. I think we should run through it, but let's do it naturally. I want to hear how these words change the rhythm.
Let's do it.
I'll ask the questions, you give me the power word answers.
I'm ready.
So, how was your day?
I'm exhausted, but it was productive.
You missed lunch. Right. Are you hungry?
Oh, I'm starving.
But did you like the surprise I sent?
I loved it.
I was thrilled. Okay, hearing that back, it's faster.
It is.
It's punchy. I'm exhausted. Boom. Done. There's no fluff. It feels more dynamic.
That's the confident expression the source talks about. When you use very, you are qualifying. You're hesitating. You're building up to the point.
Yeah.
When you use the strong word, you are stating a fact. It changes how the listener perceives you, not just as a speaker of English, but as a person.
You sound more sure of yourself.
Yes.
But here's the catch, and I think this is where a lot of our listeners get stuck. We just gave them 5 words, but there are thousands of words in English. And if you're studying for the IELTS or the TOEFL or just trying to survive a business meeting, the temptation is to cram.
Always.
The source has this powerful speaking tip that actually warns against that.
Yes. The advice is, don't try to learn 50 new words today.
But why not? If I want to be fluent fast, shouldn't I be drinking from the fire hose?
That is the cramming trap. If you learn 50 words today, I guarantee you will forget 48 of them by tomorrow. It's the forgetting curve.
Right.
The source argues for quality over quantity.
So it's better to have 5 sharp knives than 50 dull ones that you can never find when you need them.
That is a perfect analogy. The goal isn't to have a massive dictionary in your head that you can't access under pressure. The goal is to have a smaller, highly effective toolkit that you can use instantly. If you master just these 5 words this week, and I mean really master them so you never say very tired again, your English has objectively improved.
It's about context too, right? The source mentions using them in sentences, not just memorizing definitions.
Yes. Don't just memorize the list tired equals exhausted. That's rote memorization.
Right.
Instead, look at your life. When do you get tired? Maybe after the gym. So before you go to the gym, say to yourself, I'm going to be exhausted after this. Anchor the word to your actual reality.
That makes it sticky.
Makes it relevant. Your brain deletes information it deems useless. If you attach the word to your real life, your brain tags it as important file, do not delete.
I want to touch on the motivation moment in the source because it addresses something emotional. Learning a language or just trying to improve your communication, it can feel really vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel stupid sometimes. You feel like you're losing your personality because you can't express yourself fully.
Yeah. It's incredibly vulnerable. You feel like a child in an adult's body.
The source says, you don't need perfect English. You need consistent practice. And the more you speak, the more fluent you become.
It sounds like a cliche, but let's unpack it. Many people wait until they feel ready to speak.
Yeah.
They think, once I know all the grammar, once I know all the vocab, then I'll speak.
That's the perfectionism paralysis.
Exactly. But the source is flipping the equation. You don't speak because you are fluent. You become fluent because you speak. The act of speaking is the learning process. Every time you stumble through a sentence, you're calibrating.
It's like learning to ride a bike. You can't read a book about aerodynamics and then expect to ride the Tour de France. You have to get on the bike and wobble.
And you have to accept that falling off is part of the ride. If you replace very happy with thrilled today, and maybe you mispronounce it slightly, or if you use it in a slightly wrong context, who cares?
Right.
You tried. You pushed the boundary. That is infinitely better than staying safe with very happy.
So if we zoom out, this deep dive isn't really about the word very. Very is just the symptom.
Very is the symptom of playing it safe. We want to stop playing it safe. We want to start painting with color.
So what is the concrete challenge for the listener today? They're listening to this on their commute or maybe at the gym, hopefully getting exhausted.
Right.
What do they do for the rest of the day?
The challenge is awareness. Call it linguistic mindfulness.
Okay.
For the next 24 hours, I want you to treat the word very like a buzzer. Every time you hear yourself say it or hear it in your head, stop. Pause. Ask. Is there a better word?
Even if you don't say the better word out loud to the person you're talking to, like if I'm in a meeting and I can't just stop and think for 10 seconds.
Even if you just whisper it to yourself later. Or correct yourself in your head, I'm very hungry. No, wait, I'm starving. That micro-correction is how you rewire the brain.
You have to interrupt the pattern.
You do?
And stick to the list we gave. Don't try to fix everything. Just look for exhausted, starving, thrilled, freezing, huge.
Start there. Build the wins. Once you own those 5, pick 5 more.
You know, there's a thought experiment the source implies that I really love. It's about the compound effect. We often overestimate what we can do in a day, like learning 50 words, but we underestimate what we can do in a year.
The 1% rule.
Exactly. If you followed this quality over quantity rule and just learned 1 power word a day, just 1, but you actually mastered it.
Okay.
You used the production effect. You spoke it aloud. You used it in context.
That's 365 words a year.
Which sounds small. People want to learn 3,000 words. But think about who you would be as a speaker with 365 specific, high-definition, emotional words in your back pocket that you can use without thinking.
You would be a completely different person.
Yeah.
You would be the most interesting person in the room.
Right.
Compare that to the guy who tried to memorize 5,000 words, got overwhelmed, and quit after 2 weeks.
Or the person who knows 5,000 words but can only recall good and bad when they are nervous. The person with the power words wins every time. They tell better stories, they land better jokes, they get the promotion because they sound like they know what they're talking about.
It's not about the size of your vocabulary, it's about the strength of it. It's about impact.
That is a fantastic place to leave it. So to everyone listening, you have your mission. Catch the varies, swap them out, speak them aloud, and don't be afraid to sound a little bit dramatic today.
Be thrilled, not just happy.
Exactly. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.